So in this video, we are going to add in a quantity option right here. And this will just be a drop down select option so the user can change the amount of items they want. So they want to add to their cart at a time. So the max items here will be based on the amount of stock that we have here. So let's say we have 7 airports left. That drop down list is going to give us 7 options, and then it will change based on what that stock is. So let's go ahead and build that out, and we are going to go into our product screen. And in our product uh, screen, the first thing I want to do is make a quick import. So we are just going to do form, and I just realized we don't need list group item because we already have list group. So I think that was a mistake the first time I added that. And we want to set our quantity here. So our quantity is going to be a state within our component. So we don't need Redux for this because it's a small part of our state. So we'll just do quantity, and then we'll just do set quantity. So a way to update this set. And in use state, we are going to set the default state to 1. So we always want to start with 1, and then we want to be able to change this option. Now for the actual drop down list, we want to put that just above our add to cart button and just below our status right here. So let's go ahead and find that in our template. That should be right here. And we have our status, our list group item, and we are going to want to create a new list group item for that. But we want to check first if we have that in stock. So for example, if we don't have any item in stocks, we don't want to show this option. So we don't want to give the user the ability to going to this select this. So let's go ahead and first check that, and we are going to do exactly what we did. So we are just going to do product.count in stock, and we are going to check if this number is above 0. If it is, we are just going to do a double ampersand, and we are going to create that list group item. So just here we'll create the list group, and then that's going to be dot item. So we are just going to create a row, and then a column, couple of columns in here. So we'll just do row, and inside of row we'll do column, and in the first column we just want to say quantity. So we want to let the user know that that's a quantity select right there, and in the second column. So these are going to be side by side. So we'll do column again, and in here what I want to do is actually start creating the form here. So let's go ahead and start setting that here. So we imported that form, and we can do form dot control. And within our form here, we need to first tell it what kind of form we want. So we want to let React Bootstrap know what kind of form to give us. So we can just do as, and then this is going to give us that select drop down menu. So let's just do select, and for the actual value here we are going to set this to that quantity. So we are going to do value, and we can throw in quantity. So by default this is going to be set to 1. It is not going to show up in our template just yet, but for this we also need an on change event. So we are just going to do on change, and then for the on change event we are just going to use an arrow function and then update our state. So we'll pass an e here. So that's going to be the event, and then we can do set quantity. So that's that update method, and that's not a question mark, that needs to be an arrow. So the indentation is all weird here because of how this is set up and how zoomed in. I am so sorry about that. So for the quantity to update this, we just need to do a e dot target. So we are going to get that value, and then we need to get that value from what we selected. So this will update that form. And for the styling, I had some issues with how responsive it was. So I want to go ahead and start this. So we'll just do, for the extra small, we'll just do here uh, auto. So whenever the screen gets small, I want to make sure this column doesn't actually break our drop down option here. Then I want to add in some margin. So we'll just do class name, and then this is going to be my -1. So that's going to fix up that spacing. What we want to do next is actually output the drop down list options. So in theory, we could just do something like this. We could just go ahead and hard code these values, and we could add in the options and then hard code the amount. But if we want to make this dynamic based off what we have in stock, so for this we are going to have to take our stock and we are going to have to turn it into an array, and then we are going to have to map through that array and output each option. So let me explain what's going on here, and I will just go ahead and start coding it, and then I will explain as I go. So we are going to create an array, and then we are going to use something called an array constructor to create an array out of that stock. So we'll just do array, and then in here we'll just say we want to create an array out of product dot count in stock, and then we can just do keys. And what we just did here, if our count in stock was 3, we created an array like this. uh, so we let me just fix this, sorry about that. So we created an array that looks like this. So 0, because we always start at 0 with an array, and then we did 1 2, and actually that goes to 2. So we just got 3 items because our count in stock is 3. So this right here is now this. So we created that array, and now we want to map through it. So let's go ahead and remove that, and now we can just do dot map, and we are going to use an arrow function. So we'll go ahead and make x the value. So x now will be the current count in that array, and then we'll create some spacing. So let me fix my zoom here. So we'll go ahead and map through that. We'll use the arrow function, and on each iteration we are going to create an option. So we'll just do option, close that out, and for each value, so we'll create the actual value here. So for the output text, we'll just do x plus 1. The reason why we are doing x plus 1 is because an array starts at 0, and we always want to start at 1. So we are just going to increment that each line. So for the value, this can also be x plus 1. And because we are mapping through an item for React, we just need to do, or we need to create a key here, and then this will also be x plus 1, and I think that's it. So let me just repeat this really quick. So we created an array out of our count in stock, So now we have our array which ends right here, and then we map through that array and we create an option with our key. We have our value, and I accidentally uh, move that. So we have our value, and now we should get back whatever the stock is. So if I say this, we can go into our front end. So for our airports, we have 10 items in stock. So we created all of these out of what we have in that stock. And if we go to our camera right here, this is 5. And if we go to an item that we don't have in stock, I think this Alexa is out of stock, so we don't get that drop down menu at all, because we are not showing it because of that condition that we have. So next, what we want to do is add an event handler to this button right here. So on click for one that's actually available. So we'll have to go into one of these. So when we click on this, we want to redirect into our cart page. So we don't have that, but we will create that. And we also want to send some data. So we want to send that quantity over and what we are trying to add to that cart, and also the ID of the product that we are trying to add to cart. So it's going to go ahead and add it to cart, and then redirect us to our cart. So we'll want to add it to this button right here, and we'll find this just under our array right here. So this is what we just worked on, and I will find this right here. So we have the button, and for this we are just going to do on click. So on click right here, and we'll add an option function that, and we are going to call this function which we will create here. So we are going to call this add to cart handler. So handler like that, on click handler. So we are going to call this add to cart handler. So that's going to give us an error. So let's go ahead and create that, and we are going to create that just under our user effect. So let's find this. So right here we'll go ahead and create that arrow function, and we'll just do const add to cart handler. Okay, and we'll just set that to our arrow function. And for now, let's just console it out and see what's happening here. So we'll just do console dot log, and we'll just say add to cart. And we also want to pass in the ID of the product. So let's just go ahead and get that from match.params.id. So we want to know what the product ID was, because we are going to need to use this. And if we go back into our component right here, let's go to inspect, and as we click on it, we should see that. So we'll see add to cart 3, and then if we go to our airports, add to cart, and then we see the ID add to cart of the product code 1. So we want to go back in here and actually go ahead and redirect to the cart page. So for this, we are going to need to use history. So we'll just do history. We'll distract that, and this is from props. We have this available in props, so we are restructuring our props right now. So history, I can't spell that. So history like that. There we go. And in here we are going to use history to redirect it. So we are just going to do history dot push, and we want to use those backticks. So we want to redirect back into cart. So we are going to do /cart, and then we are going to go ahead and get the match dot params. Let's go ahead and throw in that variable, and we will just do match.params.id, and then we also want to pass in the quantity. So we'll just throw in a question mark right here. So after our ID, we are going to do quantity, and then we'll set that to what our quantity was. So that's going to be the $sign right there, and that's going to be quantity. So we are going to take our state and we are going to redirect to our cart page. So let's save that really quick. Let's test it. It's going to send us to a page that we don't have, and then let's try that. So we are going to click add to cart. Now we see our cart, we see our ID of that product and the quantity. Now if I change this, let's go into our camera. We'll do 5. We go ahead and do add to cart. It's going to redirect us. There is product ID and the quantity. So let's build in that component and then or that page, and then we'll actually finish that up in the next video. So in screens, let's do new file and we'll just call this cart screen.js. And in here, I'm just going to use my shortcut. So we are going to do a React functional component, and I want that exported. So we'll throw in the E, and then within cart screen, we'll just throw in cart, and that should be it. And I also need to use this in my app.js. So let's add that in app.js. We want to import that. Let's just go ahead and copy product. We'll paste this and we'll change this to cart. So we'll throw car in right here, and we want to use it with our React router. So we can copy this right here. We'll paste it and we'll throw in cart screen as a component. This will be cart. And to make the ID as an option, we are going to throw in a question mark after that. So we don't always need to pass in this ID. So there is times when we can go straight to the cart, and we don't want to have to pass in that ID right here. But sometimes we can get it when we are doing something like add to cart. So this allows us to make that an optional parameter right there. So we don't always need that. Just wanted to clarify that. So let's go ahead and move on to the next video where we are going to go ahead and add in the cart reducer and the cart actions.